Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So I wanted to talk about autism again and the school system and government and SEND and all that kind of stuff. Because what it's got to do with the Pursuit of Truth? Well, it's in the Pursuit of the Truth and seeing how inequalities and the system that we're living in is still not fit for purpose for humanity. You know, autism has been known for 60 years, and yet when I went to the last meeting with the school, they're sort of saying that basically they're failing Alina. They admitted that. Even the teacher was worried about that she's failing Alina, and SEND and SENCO as well. And even at the first meeting, 6 weeks in the first meeting, they were already mentioning special school. And now that's basically what we're in term 3. I mean, I already moaned to the MP, if you've seen previous ones of these, about trying to help them to speed up the process, because this is my first autistic child and I can see the problems and I'm trying to do something about it. And I wondered to myself, these professionals, are they moaning to the trusts, to the government, to the councils, to the MPs, to whoever, is making this legislation and creating this problem? Because they admitted, because I put down the about the system being very neurotypical and the funding thing not being at day one is actually going to work out more like year one for Alina. And they agreed. And they wanted to blame it on the government, but I mean, really, it's the school and the government, because it's like they're acting like Alina is the first autistic child they've ever had. Obviously, they must have had autistic children before. What have they done before? They just shipped them off like that? Or why doesn't every year have one teacher that's specifically there for autism? As we know, there's lots of cases of autism because nowadays it can be picked up. Previously, it was underlooked, but it's been around for 60 years, acknowledged for 60 years clinically, and therefore, these days, before nursery, you've been given a clinical diagnosis, and so everyone knows. So everyone should be made aware, and every school, every year, should have a teacher whose specific job is the autistic children. Because how many out of the 30, 60 children they have there in the reception, how many are autistic? 3, 4? Well, one teacher could just deal with those 4, and that would be the same as these special schools. So yeah, they basically want to do EHCP, but ISEN have told them they can already start it at term 3, even though usually it's term 4. That's scandalous. Why it wasn't done at day 1, like the £4,000 that's given for each neurotypical student or each student per se. They should know. We all knew that Alina was autistic. They spoke to the nursery, they spoke to SEND, they spoke to those people early years. So we all had a meeting before. When we went there to see the school, they bigged it up because obviously I wanted to know about their SEND side, and they said, yeah, very good, autistic, and etc. But now they want to get rid of her to a special school already. Well, they did it 6 weeks. Now this is end of term 3, 5 months. And this process of EHCP takes 20 weeks. So that will take her into June. So exactly, the funding for neurotypicals is day 1. The funding for neurodivergence is year 1. The system should be there to support, not to make delay. I mean, already it's difficult for autistic children, disabled children, to have to keep going through it, analyse after analyse after analyse. So yeah, that's where I'm up to at this moment, that they basically want to do that, and they were saying how great these special schools are. And maybe, the thing is, I wanted Alina to go to a mainstream school because I wanted her to experience mainstream, and to, I was hoping autism would get through that and they would have someone special for her. Even this EHCP, I don't know why they were ready to give up on Alina 6 weeks in, because that's when they talked about special school, which is why I wrote to the MP, because I felt so angry that they were even, they felt very negative. And now that's what they're going for. They want a temporary placement. The lady even used the word unit. That scared the shit out of me, because I've reported on these Sky News stories of how autistic children are locked up and etc. So this is my truth for Alina. You can see that this is in the 21st century. Still, mainstream schools have not acknowledge that there are autistic children and how to deal with them. Yes, I suspect they have some autistic children, like they claimed, but most of them, I suspect, they're easy for them to deal with. You can hear Alina sneezing because today, the day after the meeting, they sent Alina home because she was sneezing too much. Wait a minute, I'll come in a minute. Sneezing too much and felt tired. I'm sure a neurotypical would not. I've heard before, kids have colds. They told us off before because we stopped Alina going because we thought that Alina wasn't, they weren't able to cope with Alina. And so that's why we didn't take her there for a few days, because we know Mrs. I was going to say her name then, isn't capable, and therefore that's why we let her stay at home. And then we got told off for doing that, and so they said, if there's a cold, bring him in, we can deal with it. Even the NHS says that, but in the real terms, no, they can't. So I was looking online, and there's loads of these things from autism.org.uk about the problem with autism. They've got a petition as well. It's scandalous. I think because Alina's here, it'll be better I just wrap this one up. This is our experience, and I'll read these things out on an easier term, these things, because they are, yes, Alina, we can see you. They are scandalous, these things that I've read. Another one, I'll put the links as well. This is a school report from autism.org.uk. Ask for petition. In the Metro, there's my son lost years of school. People need to know how bad it is. And the other one is from Hearts Live. Coughley's mum losing hope after autistic daughter left without secondary school for 3 years. If you Google, because I was trying to Google about which school is better, special school, mainstream, can mainstream, do this, send, just give up on kids and send them to special schools when all of them have to have SEN reports. Well, if you read their SEN reports and, the strap lines of these schools are trying to inclusion and trying to, that they can deal with autism and Asperger's and disability and all that kind of stuff. But it seems that, I don't know if it's to do with results and trusts and academic and all that kind of stuff, or just they don't have the funding. But I just don't understand where, how this is happening. Alina can't be the first autistic child. Why haven't they sorted this out yet? But because the way of sorting out is going through EHCP, take 20 weeks. She loses even more time in education because she's not getting the support she needs, which is a one-on-one teacher. And then after that, it's just, you hope that they get enough money to employ someone who is actually skilled in these specialised fields, or then they have to go to a special school and hope there is a place because there's so small amount of them, and hope that doesn't, stop them from being able to get into the mainstream because it's different. And obviously once it's on your CV, then people are going to look at that, and also you get stuck within that sort of, because I don't know, it's very, very difficult. I understand that, but I feel that mainstream schools, they're too centred on, academic and about getting the A's and C's, maybe just because of the government and stuff, and Ofsted and etc. But how can they be given an Ofsted good school when this is how they treat an autistic child who, I think in Alina's case, she's mildly autistic. She can function, she does lots of things, it's just she wants to do what she wants to do, and she doesn't want to do what the teacher wants to do, or sit down or stuff, or has these little outbursts every so often. I don't know. I'll read these things out on the next Pursuit of Truth. Take care, take it easy, God rest in peace. Please leave your comments and views and etc. and share this and your stories.